chill about it. No, not Joey. He literally still, obviously at this point he never will, but he literally never replied to my message. It was when I quit commentating. I was like, look, man, no ill will, like no hard feelings. It is what it is. But I'm not gonna change what I'm saying, and we got commentators to fill my space, so I'm gonna step down. And like I was very cordial, very nice, and never heard back. Yeah, it's. And Joey insists on having him in the booth. Yeah, out of our pocket. That is. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in a similar situation with Slow Mo because they're the ones that are paying me, but they're paying me out of what Randall pays them, so they're not really. Yeah, yeah. No, no, it's not like I'm taking out of their. Like I said, I think Randall's paying them for, accounting for me. I just have to submit the invoice through Slow Mo because it all. Randall just wants to send the money once and be done with it. You know what I mean? And Slow Mo already does all those invoices because they have fucking 800 people working for him. So what's one more? Which is weird that Brad is all, for them because it's not exactly very formal. No.
The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast. As the regular season comes to a close with only 2 races left, we head ourselves down to the heart of Texas to the Circuit of the Americas. Last week we had ourselves at the All-Star race where we saw the closest finish in PTR TV history, a dead tie. Well, the fun is now over, and now you got to get yourself situated for one of the toughest road courses in North America, no, let alone slaying a 3,400-pound truck around this twist and turns. Welcome everybody to PTR TV for today's coverage, the Area Truck Series race number 11 here at the Circuit of the Americas, the West layout, the short version, 38 laps around here. Around this circuit, and again it will be quite the challenge for both all these drivers. Be myself, Corey Silva, in the booth and in the production truck, and I got Andre Dirt Groundbush here to help me out with the calls. Brad is busy here tonight, so Andre, getting trucks around a Formula One track, not something that most people have on their bingo card, but that's what NASCAR has been doing, and these drivers will be struggling getting these big, huge stock trucks around these twists and turns.
They will. It's going to be a struggle, but they are kind of saved a little bit by the fact that this is the shorter layout, the West layout. It kind of cuts out a very heavy braking zone and some tight corners, and it really shortens it down to about 2.3 miles. So really a short race overall tonight. It's going to be about 87.4 miles overall with the lap count that we have. So really it's going to be go time from the drop of the green. If you got a plan, you got to get going.
Yeah, exactly that here. Again, flag to flag will be this race here as an area. We don't have any stage breaks or any cautions to be had whatsoever. So if you have a bad qualifying run, if you have a penalty, which there are some that carried over from 2 weeks ago at Kansas, you will be even more detrimented than usual with what will go on here tonight. So let's just give you a little bit of a rundown of the point standings. Again, 2 races left in the regular season tonight, and then Talladega in 2 weeks' time. And after Kansas, Brian Mercurio has a pretty sizable lead that he will be enjoying here today with about 53 points over Garrett Conrath. And you can see the pretty big spread there, but I did include down to 12th position because 12 will make the playoffs, and last there is actually a tie, so I don't know who would get that tiebreaker, but I did look, and 13th through 20th are within about 30 points. So Andre, for those who are on that bubble, maybe 11th and 12th, you know, depending on their road course prowess, that may be a blessing, may be a curse here as you try to get your buffer situated before Talladega.
Yeah, it definitely could, and it looks like a sizable field. I know sometimes these NASCAR leagues, they go to a road course, and you see the field really thin out. Not a lot of guys show up. A lot of NASCAR guys aren't big on the road course things, but the more drivers that show up, the more points are on the table. So if one of those guys that's on the bubble is a bit of a road course ringer, they could definitely pick up a few positions on that overall and maybe work their way off into the postseason.
Yeah, exactly that. Here's again, I'm just going to refresh my own memory here of the point standings. And as we go, 13th place, well, which is technically a tie, 174 back. You go back to 20th, and it's only 207, so 30 points with about 7-8 drivers in the mix here, and we'll see what happens. But we do have, just due to the nature of the fact that this is a road course, 5 minutes of qualifying. I don't even know if it would barely get you one lap out. So they do have 10 minutes to turn themselves a lap here, and we'll see, just kind of get you a little on board here. This is with Matthew Batby and under the Echo Park Bridge. If you're watching this live, Echo Park, now the name of a racetrack, Echo Park Speedway. Little tit for tat there, but coming through the S's, Andre, and this is where the change happens. Instead of bearing to the right, we take a left. Not quite the exact layout as Cup, because they ran a kind of a bespoke layout, but kind of the gist of it, you kind of cut it and then and a bridge straight away into the sharp hairpin.
Yeah, that's going to be deceiving for a lot of these guys, especially if they used to race the full layout quite a bit. It's going to be something that's hard to get used to. I know that I myself, whenever I watch a race at this layout, sometimes I get caught off guard by the sharp and quick left-hand turn that they got to make. But overall, these guys will be able to handle it just fine. A little bit of onboard action through this series of corners. Another deceiving series of corners. Double left-hander, gets really tight at the end into a wide open straightaway. You can make up a lot of time going into this right-hander here. And in fact, we've seen some side-by-side battles in real life. I remember Ross Chastain, AJ Allmendinger, Alex Bowman, those guys battling through this portion of the racetrack. It's honestly pretty racy. I know COTA gets a little bit of flack, but sometimes this place puts on a really good show, and I think tonight's going to be one of those nights.
I mean, you go back to the initial race, as you said, the Ross Chastain kind of doorage there in the stadium section, and this race has, actually, I think the initial race was the rain chaos race.
Yes, sir.
With Truex getting decimated there on the hydroplaning on the back straightaway. But either way, this has been a staple. Hopefully it continues. I think their lease actually ran out. I don't know if they're releasing this track. Of course, SMI kind of operates it, but they don't own it. They just lease it for the weekend, taking the race away from the actual Texas Motor Speedway. So we'll see what happens in due course there. But we'll take a look here. Look at Brian Mercurio here, our points leader. Typically, he's one to wait till the last second. No, he's turning laps here and coming through the S's here. Got to watch out for those turtle curbs. And again, typically this is where you would bear to the right. But no, look at all that gravel to the left here. Obviously, guys getting off circuit. We have a little bit of a kink here that they don't have in real life. But from this point on, this is the traditional layout here that all drivers are used to.
Yeah, and that left-hander, it's really tough because you can take it almost straight. It's very tough to take completely straight, hop in the curbs without getting a track cut or a penalty. But the straighter you can take it, the more time you're going to gain on your lap. So everybody's going to be really trying for it. It's a tough section to get through side by side, but Mercurio, one of the current top runners as far as points, if I remember that graphic correctly. Seeing what time he can put down, the time to beat 138.3. That was Travis Beckner in the 28. Let's see what this 82 can do. Into this double left-hander here on the binders. See the nose of that truck dip down a little bit. Down the straightaway. Don't think he's quite, well, he might. Coming out of the corner, it's 133. There's multiple straight line finish lines, but he will get it.
Yeah.
137.517, so goes to the top of the pylon. And Jake Fisher also improving on Travis's time for P2, runs a 138.1. So far only one driver in that 37-second bracket, Corey, but really pretty close lap times overall. I mean, you look at first through fifth, they're less than a second apart. So interesting to see. Jake Nichols coming to post his time. That's another 138.1. Not
P3.
too bad at all.
Yeah, not too shabby here. Again, winner this season, Peyton Howell. You can already tell he's coming through the final corner, and he is already significantly off. Again, that first timing line, I think the second timing line is actually what we're using for qualifying, 143. And again, there's certain road courses there, Andre. You know, you go to the Charlotte Roval, very technical, very difficult. You go to Watkins Glen, you'll find the times being ultra close there, just due to the easy nature of this track. But here at COTA, again, in a league as skilled as this one, we're already seeing 7-8 seconds of variance here on the pylon. So it really shows that the cream of the crop on road comes to the top here. You really can't luck your way into a run here. You have to have that skill, that prowess, that that consistency.
Well, there is something to think about too. If you're a driver who maybe isn't a road course ringer, you're a few seconds off the pace, there's still a chance to have a good points day, because with this race being flag to flag, no full course yellows, barring an absolute catastrophe, if anybody has any trouble, and that includes the leaders, if they get damage that ends their day or something happens that takes them out of the race, they can't really come back from that. There's no caution to bunch up the field and save them. So if you just stay out there and pick off your laps, you can pick up points here and there. It's almost a guarantee. Somebody somewhere is going to have a bit of an issue, and maybe you can capitalize on that.
Perhaps the case with these lap times, and again with the shorter layout here. A little bit more walls, a little bit more opportunity for chaos to happen here, as opposed to the long layout where things will get even more strung out. Tyler Hallman goes 23rd. Jalen Handcamp, that's not a shabby lap there. It puts him in the 9th spot. Who else do we have? Peyton Howell, significantly better lap for him, 138. That puts him in 8th. Everybody in due course here. Here comes AJ Stravato. And what can he muster off the final corner?
Looks like it's going to be a 139.0, so not the worst time on the board. Going to be somewhere towards the middle, but overall, not a bad place to be when you're ahead of a few cars. But Tanner Love coming to complete his lap as well.
Look at that section of the track. I'm not sure how well the bit rate comes through for you guys at home, but littered with debris. And of course, after the most recent iRacing update, debris is a lot more, dare I say, affecting on the grip levels here. So certain sections like the S's there, the stadium section right there for that matter, you go too far wide, get that dirt on the tires, that's certainly not going to help causes out.
No, you don't want to get too wide, don't want to get where the marbles are, get your car unsettled, but either way, currently at about a 141.
Yeah, he just had to run right through him.
Top of the pylon.
Right dead center in the middle of the groove. I don't know how that happens, but that didn't help Tanner Love's run into the final corner there at 148. Obviously, that ain't going to cut any mustard here, but who else do we have? I think some drivers just turning some extra laps. Timmy Pacioli, P20. He's someone who he's in the top 12 in the points, but he's not as solidified as he would like to be. But again, if you are higher up in it, you'll be fine. Again, we are second to last race. We will be off next week for those who are knowledgeable of iRacing. We are already on week 12, so week 13 is next week, so that means a new build, a myriad of new tracks to be had. We're going to have an updated Richmond, a new North Wilkesboro finally. We're getting a new Sonoma. We're getting probably something else that I missed, but a whole bunch of new updates, a new Gen 7 Aero model, all this stuff. So long and the short of it, they're going to take a week off, make sure iRacing didn't break anything, and then we'll be back for the regular season finale. Something that is very daring, Andre. Even NASCAR, they put Talladega in the round of 8, but what they didn't do is put it as a cutoff race, and we will be heading to Talladega for 80 laps. There's no way, as a bubble driver, you cannot be absolutely terrified. You want to get it sorted out well beforehand.
Yeah, if you're relying on Talladega to get yourself some points, it's kind of like, being behind on the rent and hoping that the slot machine's going to get that money for you. It might. It could, but it's probably not going to. So you want to get it figured out well before then. See if you got any points in that 401k on iRacing that you can take out and maybe use those ahead of time. But either way, Talladega is going to be fun. It always is. But I tell you, I do love some road course racing and focusing on the here and the now. These guys got a chance to give themselves a cushion. Seth Noel in the number 1, currently sitting P6 on the pylon, trying to improve if he can. He's going to come around these sets of corners in about 11 seconds left on his lap time if he wants to compete. Still top 6, row 3, not bad if he does not improve. But I'll tell you, this is going to be close. Coming out of the corner, 135.6. And not quite going to beat his lap time. It'll be a 9.1. So he'll stay P6. I'm not sure if he's got enough time in this session for another one. But either way, he's going to stay out, get a little bit more practice perhaps, see what he can do. And only 15 drivers out of the, let's see, 34.
We still have... we're pushing a full field there, Andre. I know we talked earlier about in the opening about how a lot of times the road races, some of these oval guys kind of, dare I say, sissy out. Don't want to turn left, especially later in the season. But we're still pulling nearly 40 cars strong here today at COTA. So that just shows, again, area I don't even want to call it up and coming. It was an up and coming league, but now it is one of the more prestigious leagues in iRacing. You know, pulls Coke guys in and pulls a lot of the top competition. Preston Pardis here. Again, he's someone that you would have watched in the Xfinity and Truck Series over the years. He's here. And we'll get ourselves a 4-minute warm-up. Might get bumped because I don't think we have any EOLs here today. Any DNQs, rather. We do have EOLs. Travis Beckner, Connor Horn, Ricky Springer, Timmy Pacioli, and a drive-through penalty for Caden Diedrich there in the 24. And you know, Andre, when it comes to penalties, you know, there's certain tracks, you know, maybe in Michigan, maybe in Indianapolis Oval, whatever. You know, I'll stay on the lead lap. I can get a caution. I'll be fine. You get a penalty here, it's almost like it hits you double because there literally is no recovery from it outside of just driving through it.
Yeah, unless you're like the number one car on the track, you are the fastest guy. There's just very little you can do. And even if you are the fastest guy, you're still going to get behind everybody, which means you're going to have a lot of traffic to deal with. And COTA has some good areas to battle, but it doesn't really have any areas which make overtaking necessarily what I would call easy. So you can get through the traffic, but it's going to take you a while. And so that penalty, you're right, it hits you double. It's not a good place to get a drive-through when you know it's going to be flag to flag, no safety car, no cautions. And I mean, who knows? Maybe iRacing glitches out and it rains. That might save them. But I'm going to say the chances of that are about 0.1%, estimately.
Yeah, this is our scenic shot of this is the new section of the track that we'll be racing in comparatively to the full layout. Now, traditionally, you see this section over here, the beyond the wall. That's where they are in the real world. I think they're actually. No, they're longer than the real world. So I don't know. Either way, there's the real world would just be kind of a straight shot. They didn't do that, but that's what we're going to be dealing with here today. In fact, here comes a driver through it. Josh Ballier. Don't really have any worries about it. No turtle curbs or anything, so they can more or less straight line it. I will say, too, I did read some of the Discord from yesterday's Cup race, and I don't know the exact number, Andre, but as anybody who's followed iRacing for years as yourself, you know COTA is a off-track animal. They set the record for the most off-tracks in the history of an area race. I don't remember the exact. Jacob's watched it. He might be able to give it to me, but it was well over 2,000 incidents, I believe, for the entire race.
Oh my goodness. Because
in the real world, see all that extra, you know, we use the NASCAR logic of if it's paved, we use it. iRacing kind of ran this like a F1 track with our safety rating system. So you basically have to stay within the confines of the white line that extends beyond the curbs. And, well, that ain't fun. So, but what is fun is the fact that our warm-up is over. We'll get down and ready for the grid. Want to thank everyone for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube and Facebook, make sure you subscribe. If you're watching on Twitch, consider subscribing to the Area iRacing Twitch. You can get your $5 subscription and get custom emotes, double points that will lead you into free merch in due course. But now let's get down to our starting lineup. That is brought to you by Central Mobile Homes. Central Mobile Homes, looking for a new home, large or small, a new shed, triple crown trailer? Look no further than Central Mobile Homes, serving Florida customers for 29 years. A plethora of small and large home floor plans, shed designs, and triple crown trailers available in LaBelle, Okeechobee, Clewiston, and Sebring. Head to centralmobilehomesinc.com to get started today. And got through all of that without screwing up dirt, and I'll leave you to start today's starting lineup out.
On the pole, going to be Brian Mercurio in that 82 machine. To his outside, Kenny Brady in 78. Alex Chilcott going to be P3. P4 goes to Jake Fisher. Look back to P5, you're going to find Jake Nichols. And P6 is going to be Seth Noel. 7th and 8th going to go to Travis Beckner and Peyton Howell. Running at the top 10 going to be Garrett Conrath and Jalen Honkamp.
And then 11th place finds Connor Horn. Matthew Batby going to start in the 12th position. AJ Stravato in 13th with David Weishart in 14th. 15th finds Josh Ballier, then Philip Groner in 16th. We head back to 17th and we find Jeremy Miller and then Bryce Senesac in the number 18 19th position. Garrett Grant and Timmy Pacioli, he's 20th, but he will be one of the ones that has an EOL.
Mason Kane, P21. Brad Slaughter Jr. going to be P22. 23rd goes to Jonathan Evans. Danny Ware to his outside in that 35. Looking back to 25th, we find Preston Pardue. Then we got Josh Parrish in 26. P27, Doug Denise, and then Tyler Hallman to his outside. Running out the top 30, Ben Pierce in 29th, and P30, Gabe Herschel.
And rounding out our grid here today of 39 drivers, Gary Waterworth in 31st, Casey Lakatos in 32nd, then Ryan Nowicki, a Texas native, in 33rd, with Forrest Smith in 34th, Caden Diedrich 35th, Ryan Andrew 36th, and then we have Tanner Love, Justin Anasogak, and then shotgun on the field is Jeremy Brown of Potomac, Virginia. Traditionally, we will get 2 pace laps, and I think for the obvious sake that we don't want to run 2 pace laps on a road course, I think they're trying to get the EOLs done as soon as physically possible. As again, just look at the litter there, my Lanta. This track's so dirty, hopefully they can get that cleaned up. But to go over our race details, 38 laps around, no stages, flag to flag. We got 4 sets of tires as usual, fixed setups, no green-white checkers is applicable here today. I would imagine we're going to split this race right down the middle at around 19 laps for fuel. I don't think they can make it the whole way, and I don't imagine they would want to on the Goodyears.
And I want to correct myself. It's Preston Pardus.
I was wondering.
Could not remember which it was. I had to look up an Xfinity broadcast, and unless Adam Alexander also got it wrong, pretty sure you were right there. It is Pardus. So correction there. It's not the first name that I've messed up. Definitely won't be the last. As we work our way through this pace lap 2 by 2, this is, like you said, Corey, what a field for a road course. These guys, they're not like other leagues, right? Other leagues, these guys, they thin out as soon as we get to a road course. Nope, not an area. We got nearly 40 trucks rolling to the green, and all of them headed down into that uphill turn 1. It's going to be a tight situation. 82 leading the way, and the green flag in hand. It is going to wave after these boxes. There it is. Already getting 3 and 4 wide, scrambling for position further in the back there, Corey. But going down into the corner, we got some opportunists diving down low. We got some defensive driving up high. A little bit of everything. And as the camera decides to cut away at the worst possible time, it is like an absolute domino effect. Every car working their way through the corner. I think we were able to do it clean. 82 maintains the lead, but not without challenge. Look at Kenny in that 78.
Got to get the positions while everybody is sorted here on the opening lap as we'll head into the little cutoff section, our shortcut here at the COTA circuit, and everybody will get through nice and fine, and then we're back onto the straightaway now into the hairpin. Now we're hitting this hairpin at about a third of the speed that we normally would. It was about 180 miles an hour down to 30, probably getting about 100 at most there in that short little sector. Now we head in for the arena section for the first time into that stadium, the slowest section here of the circuit. This is where the tire wear is huge. This is where the wheel spin is huge. And if you want to preserve that truck, this is where you have to do it there, Dirt.
Yeah, you don't want to get too much wheel spin just so that you don't heat them up. Tire wear on road courses is still pretty minimal, but the
not in the trucks. Not in the trucks. The trucks are dirty. The cup car that is still broken.
So the trucks are a little bit different, but also, even if the tire wear was minimal, they're still dealing with 117-degree track temp right now. It is extremely hot here in Texas. These guys are going to be slip sliding on your screen. There are the conditions. 117 on track, 26% humidity, no winds to speak of, so they got that going for them. But
weather conditions here, of course, COTA being a road course, it could rain, but still don't have the rain model, the rain tire here via Iris. Maybe it'll come in the build. Who knows? Alex Chilcutt, he is out of the top 10, 12 in points, and he's looking to make some headway on Kenny Brady here through the S's. Saw him trying to take a different approach. Got to watch out for that turtle. Looks like Brady got a pretty decent run. He'll come through here, and now we'll head into our shortcut section. Hop the curb, back to the left on the straightaway. I am curious myself. Let's see what the top speed is here. I said about 100. I wasn't far off, about 103 miles an hour. So that sort of takes a little bit of the muster out of that hairpin there, Dirk. So we get 180 miles an hour at full song normally, but now we are much slower there. You have to drive it a lot more aggressive.
Yeah, the aggression is going to be key, but with track temps like this, you kind of have to ride the line. You know, you don't want to get too aggressive, don't want to overdrive the truck. You really got to be careful of your wheel spin, of your input on that steering wheel. Don't want to skate the front tires either. So they're walking a fine line, and they're not having a fun time for sure trying to navigate this brick of a truck around this circuit in this heat. But still some really good racing here. The 28 machine trying to get down to the bottom of the 89. Not quite going to get there yet, but he is close. He's within striking distance, and he is outbraking every corner. Behind them, we got more side-by-side. The 86, Timmy Pacioli, gets one done on the 35, so put him up one on the pylon. The 2 wide behind him, he may not hold this position deep into the braking zone. Lock up from the 35, but he's able to get it under control. So far, this has been really clean racing. Even when they make mistakes like that, they're able to quickly correct and get that thing under control. It's been really fun to watch. It's not a whole lot of separation towards the front after 3 laps of racing, save for the leader. Second through fifth, all pretty close, but Brian Mercurio, well, he's checked out. He's in a time zone all of his own. 3 seconds up on the field, but this right here, this is a battle. Kenny Brady, Jake Fisher, Jake Nichols, Seth Noel, Peyton Howell, all these guys nose to tail, very close in pace. We'll see how that remains.
Yeah, it does. Here comes the dive to the inside. Jake Fisher, the Jake and Jake show for 3rd spot here. Jake tried to make the move on Jake, but didn't happen. Getting some information here on my back end. Hopefully it is accurate, but we have about 3 crashes that my overlay software is reporting. Jeremy Brown with a loop-de-loop. I think he missed the wall. Tyler Hallman, a loop-de-loop. And to finish the trio, Alex Chilcott. This one's going to hurt in the points. That one may be worth a second look at because that one looked a little bit fishy at distance. 78 of Kenny Brady. Hi. Admin will have fun with that one later, I'm sure.
Yeah, I never envy the stewards at road courses because you know that like none of this stuff is intentional. But you know, mistakes happen. It's really out of the comfort zone of some of these guys and tough calls to make. But either way, look at this. That 13 truck is hungry. He wants to make that move on Chilcott. He was looking high, looking low, then back high again. If there's a way around him, he's going to find it. But so far, stuck on the tow hitch. Not much that he can really do at the moment. But I'll tell you, again, this track puts on some really good battles. And I think how difficult it is to pass, it really just kind of adds to that in a way because it makes you have to really think. You got to plan your overtakes out and set them up a couple corners ahead of time rather than just diving it in. And that's what we're seeing so far. Number 28 machine, Travis Beckner, he's got a challenge himself from Garrett Grant in that number 5 red, white, and blue machine.
Now, Beckner did actually get in a penalty. He was one of the penalty recipients, and he's already up to 14. So fabulous bit of driving by him thus far to get where he is. I'm not quite sure how he pulled that off. That seemed pretty magical, but either way, we will see how he fares here. But some good racing here. The Jake and Jake show. They've gotten by Kenny Brady. Kenny Brady is now relegated back to the 4th spot. I am utterly confused right now. Who is that? Overlay software is having some fits right now, but either way, Brian Mercurio is leading this one through. Getting a incident report here. Forrest Smith going Tokyo Drift style.
Just too much beans, got her a little bit sideways out of the corner, but back to live scenes, he's gathered it up. And Corey, we were talking about the penalty points earlier. I want to point out, so far as keeping track of best lap, it won't count if you get a cut. Only 11 out of 38 drivers have a best lap that is on record. The rest of them are blank from 1X and track cuts. So this track doing what COTA tends to do. Obviously, the drivers in this league not too worried about an incident limit. Some leagues have them, some leagues don't. But evidently here they can use up anywhere where it's paved, anywhere that they can really get that truck without wrecking, so they don't have to worry about it. It's just amusing. The way to get around this place to be fast, you got to be abusing those track limits, as evident by how many of these guys have gotten at least 1x every single lap. Jake Fisher continues to extend his lead, but back here, the battling is still intense. Jake Nichols, Peyton Howe, Garrett Conrath, Jalen Handcamp, these guys, they're not getting separated, Corey. I really thought after about 5 laps we'd be kind of scratching our heads wondering where everybody went, but no, it's still pretty dang tight here mid-pack.
Yeah, these guys, again, the skill set in this league is second to none compared to many of them across the circuit here on iRacing. Now, the statistics behind this race a little bit different in terms of the scoring. Now, typically on iRacing, you get your oval I rating, and that's how they kind of make the skill set rating behind each race. Here on the road courses, I think my race analysis graphic will show it. The SOF for this race, 46.01. As far as I know, that should be based on road. I think someone may be able to correct me on that, maybe not, but I always thought if you're on a road course, it uses your road I rating. But either way, whatever. It just shows these guys are super skilled, and they are quite versatile, because I know even in the Coke Series Road to Pro, they throw road courses in there, so you can't kind of run them as throwaway races anymore, Andre. You go back to the late 90s, when Gordon and Stewart were dominating, there was only 2 road courses a year. You could afford to throw them away. Road courses are too important. You have to learn how to be good at them these days.
Yeah, it was one thing back in the day when we were only going to Watkins Glen and Sonoma, but there's just so many road courses. It's easy to forget how many there are, but I think last season there was 7 on the schedule. This year there is 6, so that's a decent portion of the season, and it's a lot of points on the table. So you're exactly right. These guys do need to, kind of pick themselves up by the bootstraps, and if they're not good at road courses, they got to figure it out. Otherwise, well, times are changing. It's not just oval anymore in NASCAR. These are not throwaway races, so you got to adapt or finish a little bit further back. Those are your only 2 choices. But evidently, Corey, I think everybody in this field has done a pretty good job of adapting, because like you said, the talent in this field is really evident just in how close they still are, the racetrack they're showing. And this track on iRacing, I wouldn't make a lap. There's no way I could do it. So I got to give these guys credit for putting on the show they're putting on, and just really, you love to see it. I'm a big fan of road course racing, and anytime that NASCAR goes to a road course, I get pretty excited for it. There's just something about these cars that are not meant to be on these tracks, and yet here we are doing it anyway. A testament to man's hubris. Oh. Gotta love it.
Well, let's just open up Pandora's box here as these guys head through the Sahara Desert, aka the shortcut lane there with all the dirt on the racetrack. Why are the Xfinity cars and trucks better on road courses? Because they're not meant to do this. Like you said, to that point, they are not meant to do this. Why do we struggle so much with the next gen on road courses to get quality racing? Because they are meant to do it. That's why they're easier. They're built more to do it. That's, the extra gear, all that fun stuff, better brakes. They are meant to do it. That's why the racing's not as good. You got to have these big, elephants on skateboards here out trying to, do a Sunday drive. That's why these things are so fun. The weight transfer, the sliding of the tires, the manual H-pattern shifter. That's what makes these things fun.
Yeah, I mean, not to go on a podcast ramble, because this is indeed not a podcast, but man, you go back in the old days of NASCAR and you look at somebody driving a Buick around Riverside and you just think, yeah, that's racing. That's what racing should be. And, this is kind of the evolution of that. These trucks, solid rear axle, no independent rear suspension. They still got the sway bar, all that good stuff. Only 4 gears. They gotta make it work. They're about as aerodynamic as a brick, so you get these races side by side behind our camera car there.
Senesac and Connor Horn side by side for really anything more than, I'd say, 3 corners here is quite impressive. They've been side by side for a significant amount of time here as they come through turn number 1, the sharp hairpin. That's Preston Pardis. He says, hey, I'll look 3 wide. It's not going to work. They'll funnel back into normal formation here. coming through the S's. As this is all roughly 22nd to 25th or so.
Yeah, and they are all still on the tow hitch pretty much in this line. Nowhere to really go, just kind of wait for an opportunity, wait for a mistake to be made. Preston Pardis tried to get opportunistic. It was going to be 3 wide there for a minute. He thought better of it, and maybe that's a little bit of that real-life race experience coming into play where he's thinking, yeah, maybe you can make this move in the video game, but in real life he wouldn't do it. So he's well, most guys in real life wouldn't do it. There's some guys that would. We're not gonna go get into that, but just a smart move to kind of back off a little bit and wait for these guys to give a bit of a better opportunity that maybe isn't 3 wide, and way up on the curbing, enters high, ducks it down low, gets a good run out of the corner, but it's not going to be enough for Howell. He's going to close in on the bumper, and again, just nowhere to really take the run, but he's got a good exit. See if he ducks low here, maybe. He may be able to get to the quarter panel, and he will, so a bit of a side draft. It's going to get them side by side. This could be an overtake, and that's what I mean, Corey. He had that overtake planned, corners in advance, and now he is acting on it. Let's see if he can carry the momentum on the bottom. It's really tough when you take that low entry to keep that momentum. That middle groove the 73 took is very strong, and it's evident right there. Able to pull back ahead. Move unsuccessful for the 52, but it was a valiant effort. The 49 right behind as well. And this battle is far from over. 73 might have defended that time, but there was going to be more on the way. These guys getting aggressive. Got to wonder, Corey, when are they going to start thinking about pit stops? Are they going to have to think about pit stops? 87 miles, give or take. What fuel mileage are we looking at?
Garrett Conrath all the way down the inside. I don't know if he got a slowdown here. Yet I didn't get privy to any information, as we do have a battle for the second spot. I believe Noel wants it and Brady has it. As again, I am just flabbergasted at the amount of dirt here in this section of the circuit. But Seth Noel, I did watch I didn't get all the results, so I don't want to spoiler there, but I do know Seth Noel was quite competitive in the Area Cup Series race last night on the IDK YouTube channel, IDK Player YouTube channel, and he is trying to make that presence known, as they are 6 seconds back of our race leader, Brian Mercurio. We do this quite frequently at dirt, and we try to recoup ourselves back from it. But when the leader is this dominating, we forget to talk about them. And the leader, and a points leader, I mean, everything that he does well, Brian Mercurio, got to make sure that Rebel Rabbit High Seltzer F-150 gets its time, because a lot of good racing, and he's just out here sticking up the show, leading this thing down.
Yeah, I mean, he is gone and away, although I will say Kenny Brady is slowly chipping away at that lead. Last time I looked at the difference, it was about 6.4, and it's kind of fluctuating anywhere between 6.1 to 5.5. So a little bit here, a little bit there, closing the gap. That could be Mercurio kind of realizing that he's got that big lead, backing off the pace a little bit, saving the tires. Or it could just be Kenny Brady was saving early, and now he's got pace. It could be either or. But one way or the other, they are coming together. That gap fluctuating quite a bit. And Kenny's bringing Seth Noel with him. Noel has moved quite a bit through the grid. He started a little bit further back towards the tail end of the top 10. Now he's up to P3 in that number 1 machine. So showing a lot of good pace there, catching up to Kenny Brady. And I'm curious to see if he tries to make the move or if he just kind of rides in line for a while, shows some patience. I know that I may not be so patient, but that's why I'm in the booth and these guys are driving. They make the good calls, and I tend not to, so we'll see.
Yeah, we have some good racing here. Back of the pack, Garrett Granis effectively seemed like he stopped there as he lets David Weishart by. Weishart in the 15th position at present right now. Then you go a little bit further back, still seeing some good racing. Timmy Pacioli, remember he was another one of those EOL drivers, and he's kind of stagnated there in that 20th or so position, battling with Slaughter, Horn, and company here, as we're about 11 laps into today's race, and hopping curbs, making dives. Here we are into the final corner, and he'll make that pass.
81 made a little bit of a mistake there. He got into a 4-wheel slide. That may well cost him 2 positions. Nope, he's able to get the run out of the corner, so the bleeding has been stopped. Only 1 position lost, but Boy, that was a really good save. That could have been a big issue spinning in front of the field, but now he's got to deal with hot tires from that slide. The car is not going to be very happy with him. And again, we're seeing that, Corey, that outside line in turn 1 that leads you to the inside for turn 2 tends to be the place to be, but with those tires being as warm as they were, he gives up yet another position. That 31 makes a brilliant move to get one position up on the grid. And they're going to take it through the short chute. We're going to take a look at a replay. The number 80 having some trouble.
Gabe Herschel, this is 87 truck, and yeah, that's a little bit of help. No harm, no foul in terms of damage or anything, but a little bit of assistance there in the form of the 87 of Jeremy Brown there, but they'll carry on just fine. Matthew Batby battling with Philip Groner, and that battle has ceased. But again, these guys up front, we go from second place Kenny Brady, who is about 5 seconds or so off the lead, and then we can honestly go back to, I'd say, Garrett Conrath in 8th. They're separated by about 5 seconds, but they're effectively in one sort of long conga line here. So a lot of consistent lap times up here, and to the point that you had, Andre, last about a couple minutes ago. Look at the last times there. Last time round, about 6/10 up for Kenny Brady. That lead that was pushing 6.5. It's now sub 5 seconds. Of course, it will fluctuate, you know, throughout the circuit, but the average certainly is down there.
Yeah, Kenny's gaining. And again, I got to wonder, is this the leader back in his pace-off, knowing that he's got a good cushion? It is generally something the leader will do at a road course. It's a smart play. Or is it just Kenny Brady? And did he save his tires a little bit better early in this event, and now he's figured something out? He is just reeling them in. I guess time will tell. I was going to say, you know, maybe the track temp has changed and really helped out Kenny Brady. Well, it's changed, but only by 1 degree. It is now 118 on the pavement.
In the wrong direction.
Gone up a little bit. Yeah, it's gone in the incorrect direction. If you're a driver, you want it to cool down and get some grip. But hey, it's Texas in June. You're not going to get it to cool down very much. So, unfortunately, these are the conditions. Luckily, it's in sim, you know, so these guys aren't dealing with the physical effects of the heat, just the handling, as they work their way down into this left-hander. The 73 of Jake Nichols has really been working on Jake Fisher. These two have been no strangers to each other, trying to just kind of navigate this track and keep off of one another. But the Jake and Jake show continues. They have been in front of each other pretty much the entire race, 13 laps in. And then a little ways up the road, that is Seth Noel, that one who was gaining on Kenny Brady and now falling back away from his bumper quite a bit. I think maybe Seth cooked his tires a little bit trying to get there, no longer within striking distance. Or it could just be that Kenny Brady, whatever he's found, it is working. He continues to chip into the leader's gap. But we'll see, time will tell. I would think if they have to pit at all, Corey, it's going to be really late into this event. 38 laps, 2.7 miles, give or take the layout. If they pit at all, it'll be towards the end, unless they really value tires. And like you said, tire wear in trucks tends to matter quite a bit more, and you can really see that here. Best lap 138.2, that's nearly qual pace. And then last lap 140.1, so that is a 2-second differential. No small margin.
Yeah, I would say I would be inclined to pit right around halfway, and I think as soon as you pit, anybody who you're battling, you're going to be instantly drawn to, because you can't afford to waste that time, as that gap again now down to about 4 seconds now, sub 3 seconds at certain sectors of the track. As you talked about a hot race track, how about some hot sauce? Head over to rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. You can try Lokahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. Follow that Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Cup Series. See which driver takes home that $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie on Monday nights. That's rickshotsauce.com. So here comes Connor Horn making the dive underneath, who is that? Jonathan Evans there. Just ahead of that is the 30 truck of Jeremy Miller. That 609 Motorsports F-150, and we're getting a little loop in my ear, a beep in my ear, that Ryan Nowicki drove they're indicating this as a crash on my back-end telemetry. Driving off circuit and letting everybody go by qualifies as a crash, apparently. But, yeah, he did a sportsman-like move there. Hey, I'm slow. You guys are faster. I don't know where to let you go, so I'm just going to drive off and let you get by. So that's the sportsman-like thing to do in that situation.
And the gap to the leader continues to shrink. When it was fluctuating, yeah, there we go, sub 4 seconds, and then all the way up to about 4. But either way, 2 seconds closer now than he was about 5 laps ago. 60 is going to go way wide, forced out of line there. Going to have to give up a position to that 73. Actually, 73 was that to begin with, but got forced a little wide. Had to get out of line, able to slot back in behind. No harm, no foul there. Although I will tell you, Corey, that 60 machine is looking real loose. I've seen a few wiggles out of him when we've had the camera on him, and I don't know if it's the heat or if it's just the setup, maybe the tire wear. Either way, he is really doing everything he can to keep the handle on it. Right there again, you see that front end. Try to step out on him a little bit. Very interesting and a scary situation. If you're somebody who's directly behind or directly in front, you're seeing that.
And Chilcutt is one of those drivers. He's 20th in the points coming into today's race. Needs to get in the top 12, 207 off, and that 12th place cutoff is actually only at about 174. So if he can keep himself in this position, it's not going to instantly, help causes out, but it'll certainly, get into that gap. Mason Kane, currently 12th in the standings. He's running back there in 20th, so that is some points to be had. 21st, potentially, as Bryce Senesac takes a optimistic look there in turn number 1, not to be had. But again, this is where the point standings come into play, and you set yourself up for the wild card in 2 weeks' time at Talladega as we watch Brian Mercurio up front and watch that gap shrink. Kenny Brady kind of had a different line there through the stadium section. We'll go on board and see what we can figure out what he's doing different.
So riding on board with Kenny Brady, he is obviously getting down to the apex in this long right-hander. You can see the leader just up the road. He's getting glimpses of him. That's got to be pretty motivating when you can finally set eyes on that leader in your windshield. You know he's there. You got a rabbit to chase. All the way up on the green, nearly in the grass, down to the apex. Great brake and throttle control. A little bit of wheel spin on exit, but that just means he's getting everything he can get out of this truck. Down the straightaway into turn 1. Now I'm curious, what line is he going to take? Is he going to go way to the bottom, or is he going to take that middle groove that some drivers tend to opt for? Looks like he is going to get mostly to the bottom with a very wide exit. And the last time around,
half second,
as Corey has so graciously highlighted, half a second faster to Kenny Brady. My question, Corey, can he keep this pace up? Can he continue to reel him in without cooking these tires to the point where he can't do anything?
Well, if I'm Kenny Brady, I'm making some serious decisions in the pits right now, because I'm thinking, all right, most everyone's going to pit at halfway. There's about 2 seconds, maybe 2.5 seconds or so to be gained by pitting a lap early. Do I think that extra lap on the back end of the run is going to mean something? If the answer is no, then he could be within a second right on the back bumper of Brian Mercurio at the end of the pit cycle. So that is a decision that I am making. If I'm him, you want to undercut, not overcut. We saw the gap cut into the 2s for a brief moment there. He is getting through the stadium section way better than Mercurio, who might be on the struggle bus right now, may have overexerted the first 10 laps of the run, because certainly the last 6 he has not been running advantageously, and he is certainly wanted that pit stop to come sooner than later.
Yeah, he's wanting to get on some fresh boots, that's for sure. We'll see if it helps him out if they pit at all. Again, the fuel mileage is going to be interesting. I'm not good with fuel mileage. I'm not good at calculating things, but we will see. We
weren't privy to anything, so we are just going off of the wing and a prayer, which you've watched PTR TV broadcast more than once. Our math skills are essentially like I don't even have an analogy. Not one that'll get me safe from trouble anyways. But yeah, our math skills are not great. What is great is the High Banks podcast. 2 blue-collar guys, Nick and Alex, talking about NASCAR and more. Episode 228 has our league owner, Jacob Bell. You can listen to them on Spotify. the High Banks podcast, as this race very quickly gets to its halfway point in about 2 more circuits.
Yeah, lap 19 will roughly be the halfway point, and the race is just going by in the blink of an eye. Flag to flag, no cautions. These races always do, but it helps that these guys have put on such a great show. I mean, this race is just blowing by because it's been so fun to watch these guys side by side. Overtakes galore. Speaking of overtakes, 87 going to get down to the bottom of the 40
missed the corner entirely.
Overcooks it. So we got a double overtake here. You got the crossover maneuver as you got a little optimistic there. And, you know, these guys make it look easy, but that's all it takes. You drive in a little bit too deep, and that car or that truck is going to sail off into the sunset, and not in a good way. That's what happened with that 87. And you kind of forget these trucks can even do that watching these guys.
Yeah, he overcooked that corner more than I overcook a steak on the grill there, so not too advantageous. Advantageous move. There goes Josh Ballier getting by Matthew Batby. Batby's connection seeming to be good tonight. He's had problems in the past. Luckily, things have seemed to sort themselves out here. As Batby in that Hendry County Motorsports Park truck, pardon me. And if you're watching this live, you can go watch some racing in Hendry County. They'll be live on Saturday, June 7th for Top Gun Sprints, the open wheel modifieds, and more. $20 for tickets. You get a family pack of 4 for $25. Kids age 5 and under are free. Come see racing at the southernmost dirt track in America in Clewiston, Florida, off US Highway 27 at henrycounty.com. And we do have our first pit stops. That's Seth Noel. He was a top 5 driver. Jalen Handcamp, he was in the top 10-ish, I believe. And this is a lap before halfway. Maybe, just maybe, I was actually accurate with my thoughts. That doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, I think you're right. The tires are pretty valuable. These guys wanted to get on them as quick as possible. Although that does mean they got an extra lap at the end of this thing, provided they are on the lead lap at the end. They got to navigate on older tires, but in the meantime, they could make up a lot of time. And big shout out to the early pit road takers so that we can quit guessing whether or not they have to pit. So now we know. Thank you for that, boys, as we continue down into turn 1. Up on that turtle curve, had to get on the binders there, couldn't get on the throttle, cost him some momentum. Here comes the 0-5, going to look down to the bottom, and he's going to get that overtake, all because of that turtle curve. Those things are violent on iRacing, Corey. They will throw you for a loop. He lost some time, but it could have been worse. He could have been thrown sideways and had an incident. Luckily, he keeps it going. And these two, it's always these two, the 31 still battling it out. Well,
he's on his fresh tires getting through the field here. Look at the myriad of pit stops here. That is Mercurio. And Chilcutt staying on circuit here, as is Nichols Conrath. But Mercurio in the pits, Kenny Brady in the pits, so no overcut or undercut to be had. Get in that pit box as quickly as possible. And just pray the RNG, random number generator, gets you a good pit stop and omits any loss of time. There goes Mercurio. Here is Kenny Brady. What's that gap going to equate to in actuality? It's going to be, well, it's going to be skewed here by Connor Horn as Brady goes for 3 with the dive. That's not going to help. But he's got to be methodical. He's got to be very cordial in his thoughts here to get himself sorted. It looks like he's going to be about 2 seconds back, so right where he started.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
You can see right here on the ticker. You can see on Mercurio about 23.7, and you can see Kenny Brady 25.7, right at 2 seconds. But Connor Horn not doing any favors if you're a Brady fan.
Now, what I'm curious about is once Mercurio gets back on fresh tires, is he going to have that short run speed that we saw in the first stint? Is he going to duplicate that? Or is he going to learn from what he saw earlier in this race with Kenny Brady reeling him in long run? Is he going to be a little bit more conservative? We know that Kenny Brady right now is anything but. He made a pretty aggressive move on the 42 to get around Connor Horn. He's got a little more traffic up the road. I believe it's going to be Joshua Balliet, probably not saying that correctly either, in the number 7, and the other one off the ticker there. So Kenny Brady is setting him up, knocking him down, but again, not helping his case. He tried to get the undercut. When you take that undercut, Corey, you want fresh track, you want clean air, and he did not get it.
Whoa, the 7 I don't think I've seen that one here at COTA. But Ballier just missed the pits. See that happen at, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen it here at COTA. You see it at Darlington. You see it, let's see what happened. Well, that blimp cam is slightly interrupted here, but here he comes in again, something you just don't see very often. He must have felt like he was going too fast to make that corner, and he'll have to go around, and that'll cost him a couple seconds. Here comes Bryce Senesac in, but Alex Chilcutt, remember, talked about him needing the points, get himself a lap lead. He'll get himself some fresher tires later in the stint, so he's losing time now, but he'll have the extra tire to be able to push later. You just have to be able to overcome that distance that you're creating for yourself. That is the difficult portion here. As finally we have Kenny Brady and Mercurio 1-2, at least in proximity to each other. And again, there's that gap, sub 2 seconds. So as you said, is it going to be, has Mercurio learned about being able to push, or is Kenny Brady going to see, you know, race with his eyes and push too hard because he sees Mercurio so close to him?
Yeah, it just kind of depends on what kind of driver that Kenny is. I mean, I know me personally, I tend to drive better when I got somebody in front of me. It's when I make the move and then they're behind me that I tend to slow down a little bit, start making mistakes. But not everyone's like that. Some drivers, they see that rabbit they're chasing and they just get a little bit overzealous. They start overdriving a little bit. We'll have to wait and see. Kenny Brady, he's been pretty good so far tonight. I can't imagine he's going to make too many mistakes. But on board with Peyton Howe, looking to the low side of the 84 down into turn 1. Heavy on the binders. He's going to get it momentarily, but will it be a crossover? The 84, good momentum. Nowhere to take it yet. Gets on the throttle, tries to strike back. Not quite going to get there. The door is slammed in his face.
Whoa!
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Ford getting some camera time there as he is right on the camera.
Yeah, Fisher left about 2 millimeters of space there, or about 1/8 of an inch, depending on your imperial versus metric units there. We are on an F1 track, so I guess metric units are slightly bit more accepted there, but either way, Howell will get that positioning here. Some entertaining stuff, and speaking of entertaining stuff, Elite Entertainment. You can add some life to your party this spring with Elite Entertainment, located in Boiling Springs, South Carolina. It provides high-quality band production to entertain at any location, including karaoke, musical bingo, also known as Singo, and more. Visit the description in the link in the description for more info. For more info, I've been doing perfect with all my ad reads.
For more Ingo.
Ingo, Singo, Bingo, Elite Entertainment. Look for more info.
I will definitely look for more Ingo and Singo. I've never heard of Singo. Now I have. That's an interesting concept, and big shout out for supporting the lead for sure. As we have a few more trucks cycling out, and Corey, this pit road exit has always been really stressful to me. You are literally cycling out into the most dangerous part of the racetrack you could be in. And there's no safety barrier. I mean, once you're out there, you're out there. Generally, you're not up to pace with everybody else sailing it through the corner. So it's a scary blend line, but these guys got to manage it. And so far, they have. There is Connor Horn in the 42, getting that thing serviced.
Whoa!
Oh, boy.
I don't know what I just saw. Forrest Smith just...
in the 15.
What in the heaven's name happened to him in the S's? He lost it. It looked a lot more drastic from the other angle, but just a little spin through the S's here, and he's done more. He has done a lot more, because that... Perhaps it all was from that impact, because that right front didn't look as bad. Or I guess maybe it was, because he kept going, and again, there's not too much live on track, so we'll just follow this for a brief amount of time. Oh yeah, that right front was not right fronting. So that impact didn't look as bad. That's not a safer barrier. It's some kind of like fancy international grade safer-ish wall, not quite a safer barrier, so maybe it has a little bit more impact.
It's plastic. I think we have that in America, Corey.
I know Indianapolis, and this is, the two people in broadcast world that have more useless knowledge than anybody else is myself and you. Indianapolis had the first form of a quote-unquote safer barrier, and it was kind of a plasticky type thing like that. It debuted in 1998 at the IROC race at Indianapolis, and Ari Leyendijk basically proved to them why it was terrible, because he absolutely destroyed it. And then, of course, safer barrier was getting worked on and got put into full gear upon the 2001 Daytona 500. But yes, there's some kind of weird plasticky barrier that clearly acts like concrete there, especially if you're a 15 fan. So he is out of the race, and now we will get back to following our battle for the win. Brian Mercurio is his lead is averaging right around that 2 seconds, has a little bit of traffic in front of him in the form of Casey Lakatos and Gabe Herschel. Herschel has been on cam today for some issues of sorts. This is a live battle for position 30, 30, and 34, so they want to get that spot. They also have the leader behind them, so let's see how they navigate it.
Yeah, so, obviously NASCAR, there's not really going to be a black flag for not letting them go, but hopefully the leader's going to have the pace. This doesn't check him up too much, because he does still have Kenny Brady 2 seconds back. That gap has been very stable. It has not fluctuated, so Mercurio not pulling away like he did in the first stint. I think, like I had alluded to earlier, it might just be that he is backing off a little bit. He doesn't want to cook his tires like he did in the first stint. But we'll see as Kenny Brady continues to challenge for it. This cluster of cars going down into turn one. The 49 going to outbreak the 84 just a wee bit. See if the 84 can get a bit of a crossover. The 73 got a really good run coming out of the corner. They're going to be side by side. 84's got the preferred line for now, but when they get into this next S, it'll go back to the 73. And I think the 73 is going to get clear. Yes, he does. Good defense there.
These Jakes are just Velcroed to each other today. Everywhere you go, they have been absolutely stuck together. But up front, while we were watching that little bit of a battle, it appears as such that Lakatos and Herschel have since garnered positioning to our leader. Now Kenny Brady says, actually, if you're Brady, it's like, oh no, I'm catching them in the stadium section. The worst possible time is look at that gap go down to a minimum of 1.5 seconds, lowest it's been. Lakatos is first, and I know Casey's not gonna push the issue. Casey's a very respectful guy. Talk to him, he's a good guy. He doesn't want to be in the way of it, but also it's kind of hard to not be in the way. Let's see what happens. He is going to go leave the high lane, and Brady will get by, trying to minimize the time lost. And next on the docket will be Herschel in the endeavor with 15 laps to go, which is about 23 minutes of timing to finish this thing out here at COTA.
I'll tell you what, I think we're going to have a race for the lead. Kenny Brady he's figuring this track out, and he's proving lap after lap to be just a tick better than that 82. And again, it could just be the 82's laying back a little bit, but I'm not sure he would want to. Not when he was dealing with the traffic, not when he knows Kenny Brady's close. And, well, speaking of laying back a little bit.
Hold on. No. Going back. Tech Pro barriers. Thank you, iRacing, for your details. Tech Pro barriers, that's what they're called. So if anyone wants to pop a Goog, Tech Pro, I think it's just the Formula One safer barrier that they use. I know they use safer barrier at Zandvoort in the final bank turn, but Tech Pro, I think it's the international safer barrier brand. Now we know. Carry on.
All right, so I'm Googling it. Tech Pro is a safety system designed out of polyethylene, which I believe is plastic. I'm going to Google it.
Multiple. We're on stage 2 of popping a Goog now.
Yep, thermoplastic, so it is plastic, and it's filled with foam. So, yeah, not very exotic, Corey. We have both those things in the U.S.
Yeah, so in America, we don't use plastic. We use steel because we like steel. But either way, still have that foam. Going through my back end here of things to make sure I've got myself sorted out. I think I have. We talked about Twitch, and we'll talk about the area shop here, shop.areairacing.com. You can visit shop.areairacing.com for high quality merch at low prices from over 100 selections of shirts, hats, champion brand clothing, and other area accessories. Easy to shop, quicker to ship, better to wear. Shop.areairacing.com. Again, everything that you do will get you looking fly, and it'll also help support the league. So take a look at that as we have 13 laps to go to see who will be in victory lane here today at COTA. Travis Beckner, again, he has gone from EOL to 10th and seriously trying to gain that 9th spot right now.
And he might get it, that 67. Rear end stepping out, really using up the curbs, not looking super stable at the moment. And, oh boy, camera car going for a ride on the curb, but he gets a good run through this little short shoot section, straightens it out to the quarter panel. He might have an opportunity here. Does he dive it in? I believe Beckner is going to get the move done, gets clear on corner entry, but look at that, overdrives it just a little bit. The 67 machine going to fight back on that outside, at least for the moment. Puts the bumper to him using the chrome horn. They're going to stay side by side. Boy, you'd think they're racing for the win, racing like this. This is quite a show. I think now the 28 is clear, but you never know. That 67 is driving like a man possessed. He's not going to let him get away easy.
Yeah, not at all. Now, if you are a Beckner fan, he may, barring catastrophe, settle out there. He's currently 20 seconds behind the lead. You can see Jake Fisher there in the 8th spot. 14.8. So actually I have the graphic. Why am I trying to do math? But I have a graph to do it for me. He will have to drive upwards of 5.5 seconds to garner another position. And if we pull up our last lap there on your ticker, he ran a 140 and Fisher was in the 139. So that is not faster. That is not advantageous of gaining time. But as we look to the top of the sheet, 1/10 of a second. That was actually not even a half a tenth. That's all that Brady had. So you do the math, half a tenth times 12 equals 6/10 of a second. That means he ain't gonna get there, but I don't expect that trend to sustain every lap. It's gonna be more than a half tenth. It's gonna be less than a half tenth. Someone is gonna make a catastrophic mistake too. Maybe not catastrophic, but someone's gonna make a notable mistake. I guess you just take your bets on which driver it's probably gonna be.
And remember, Kenny Brady did have that long run speed in that first stint, so if he replicates that, if we see what we saw before, he will reel him in by the end of this thing. But who knows? Things can change. Alex Chilcutt going to be P3 at the moment. Seth Noel dropped back to 4th somewhere along the way. He was on the podium and just kind of lost a little bit of pace throughout this cycle. See if he can't reel him back in. Have a battle there for 3rd, but behind them, you got to look a little bit further back for Peyton Howell in the 52. He's had an eventful night in that truck, a lot of battling, but now kind of calming down. He's got open road ahead of him, and just one car a little ways back there. It is going to be Garrett Conrath in the 49, and then the Jake and Jake show continuing, Corey. I mean, if they stay with each other throughout the entire 38 laps, that's going to be something. I mean, literally, it has been the Jake and Jake show all night.
Yeah, exactly. They have been on each other's heels all race long, and just looking in the point standings one more time here on the back end. Of course, Jake Nichols being 3rd in the points. He has 2 wins on the season. He has had the better of the 2 seasons. Jake Fisher, he is one of those bubble drivers. He is, at the time of the start of this race, he's 184 points off of the leader, but he's only 10 points off of the playoff cut line. So if you're a Jake Fisher, you know, just stay put right now. Timmy Pacioli, he's somebody up in the points. Pacioli, he's in 16th now. You're gaining points there. Where's Jordan Kuntz? Jordan Kuntz is that 99 truck. Is he even here today? I don't even see him. So that would be points. I don't see Jordan Kuntz here. I'm probably missing him, but either way, points to be gained if you're that 84. Sometimes it's better to not push the envelope and just take advantage of the run that's in front of you, because that'll certainly help Fisher out.
That it will.
It's that old adage there, Dirt. If you have a 7th place car or truck and you're not used to finishing in 7th, finish 7th. Don't try to get 6th and put yourself 25th.
Don't fly too close to the sun. Don't make any big mistakes. Just take what you can get, build on it, learn something from it, and move on the next week. It'll be a great point stay nonetheless. Again, 38 trucks started this race, so any of these guys who are a little bit further back in the points definitely going to gain a bit if they can get a top 10 or even a top 5 as we continue to watch this train of cars. The 49 of Garrett Conrath has caught Peyton Howell in a little bit under a lap since we last checked in on him. The gap was pretty big before, but it is deteriorated to nothing. Looks like Garrett has a good truck underneath him there on those somewhat fresh tires, and through the S's, he's going to continue to close in. He's got Jake Nichols not too far behind as well, so it's going to have to be defense from the 52. Peyton Howell, these guys about 10 seconds back from the leader overall, but still fighting for a top 5. This is for 5th. Way to the outside. The 52 is going to let him go, but he's going to come out of the corner like a rocket ship. Look at this. Where does he take the run? To the quarter panel. The door is shut. Does he go to the bottom now? Nope. That door is also closed. Unfortunately, he's going to need a lockpick to get through there because every single door just got slammed in his face, and he's going to have to settle for 6th for the time being. But Garrett is on the move, and so is Jake Nichols. He's got this 52 as well, picking up the pace a little bit. See if he can't make a move. But yeah, it was a little bit weird there, Corey. The way the 52 went wide, it almost looked intentional, like he didn't want to defend it. Maybe he just thought, hey, you go around me, I'm going to save my tires, or I don't know. But either way, he's had a good, clean race, so can't complain too much.
Yeah, I think he saw the dive bomb. He's like, let me get a straight shot off and see where I can go with it. Getting some inklings of 2 potential issues. Jeremy Brown. I'm being told he had an issue. There it is. Little, he missed the Tech Pro. And I think for the 77th time here today, Ryan Nowicki has had a problem. I'm exaggerating quite significantly here, but something happened to Nowicki. Cameras are in a terrible oh, no, he's running off. What is he doing? He's on the full course. So
making his own way there, just we're on the full
that's why
course.
I'm like, where is the incident? I'm like, oh, it's because he's not on the track. So not sure why he decided to run the full layout there, but either way, gets him some airtime there and maybe gets him a sponsor in that generic number 74. But looky, 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 or as Tony Stewart would say, here kitty kitty, here kitty kitty, or play the Jaws music, whatever tickles your fancy. Kenny Brady, sub 1 second, well, around 1 second away.
Yeah, he's definitely closing that gap. I think that long run pace is shining through, which I was a little bit worried about because he did take tires a lap early, and 1 lap is a long way around. You will notice the difference in tire wear, even if it's just 1 single lap. And I thought maybe that'll give the advantage in the long run to Mercurio, but overall, I was saying 12 for both of them, but I could have swore Kenny Brady came in 1 lap earlier.
No, they pitted at the same time. It was I think it was Chilcutt. Yeah, Chilcutt. He was the one on the freshies, and he's taking advantage of it now. He's making like 2 trailer park girls. He's trying to go around the outside of Seth Noel in turn 1. That won't come to fruition, but he's going to set himself up for a crossover. But that inside lane does not work on exit, so he'll have to dial it back in and try to sort things out here. But Chilcutt certainly having a great day here, and again, this will help him out. He needs this run to the same point we just said with Fisher. A 3rd place for Chilcutt, or even a 4th place. That would do absolutely wonders for him, trying to set himself up to get in the playoffs for Talladega next week. But getting in the dirt there is Noel. Again, I can just see the incident points racking up. +1, +1, +1, everybody going wide. I'd be interested to get the number after that, but some good racing going on. And again, that lead up front here through the stadium section, it dips into the sub 1 second, 7/10, and a little bit of traffic coming up. And I saw a Tiltify truck. Are we going to have team orders here to, well, I guess actually, are they teammates? The trucks look, well, they look the same, but they're not.
Yeah, they look similar, but I suppose not. No. Yeah, I need to take my schizophrenia meds apparently, because I could have swore Kenny Brady came in 1 lap earlier, but being on the same strategy, that does make sense why he is able to continue this long run And I don't know exactly what he's doing to really keep the pace on these longer runs versus what Brian Mercurio is doing. I don't know if he's just saving a little bit more at the beginning, or if it's just, on iRacing, sometimes it's so sensitive. It could literally be something as just not turning the wheel, a degree too much, just barely cranking on the wheel a little bit too much will scuff your tires. Maybe he's got that down pat. Could be his braking zones and his throttle points just being a little bit more conservative. Who knows? But either way, it's working out to give him a good long run truck. And with traffic ahead of the leader, this could be a good opportunity to close in. Although I will say, Kenny Brady looking just a little bit out of sorts there on the entry to the short chute. He's able to gather it up. And this is what he needs. That traffic bringing the gap down to under a second. 71's going to get out of the way for the leader. Here comes Kenny Brady, going to make it 2 for 1. So 0.7 of a second, the difference now. That traffic helping tremendously. Only 7 to go. I said we might have a battle for the lead, and it is shaping up to be that way if this trend continues. And Kenny Brady, a man on a mission.
And this is his section. He gets through the stadium section way better than Mercurio does. I'd say the sweepers, I would give it to Mercurio. The heavy braking zones, I'd probably say it's a break even. But that slow stadium section is certainly Brady's sweet spot. And that's where I feel like if he is better at saving tires, maybe he has saved the rears a little bit better, that's where that comes into fruition here. We come through 20 and coming to 6 laps to go. Look at that gap, sub 0.7 of a second. And he's close enough now. He's going to get a sniff. It's not going to do much here at COTA, but he's going to get a sniff of a small slipstream just to add a little bit more, drama to it. But enter in turn number 1 here. Here's that late apex that Mercurio is doing, and that gives him a pretty good exit. Now we come through the S's. I give this to Mercurio. But again, once we get to that stadium section at the exit of the short chute, I expect to see the inverse.
Yeah, and honestly, Kenny Brady looking pretty even with the leader here, not losing a lot through the S's here, although Mercurio does, I think, just barely get a slight advantage there. And then through this short chute, evens back out. Both these trucks in the same shot now, down into the left-hander. I think Kenny's entering just a little bit higher, arcing it out a little bit wider on exit. Maybe that's what's saving the tires. Who knows? But he is there. He is within striking distance to the bumper. You're right, this stadium portion of the track, he is just able to drive it in so deep, Corey. I don't know how he's managing that without getting this thing sideways. Super shallow entry here into this double left-hander, and even with that shallow entry, he still gains. He's got something figured out here, Corey. I mean, this is his part of the track, and when it comes time to make a move, I would not be surprised to see it happen here.
Yeah, and to your point earlier in the broadcast about Ross Chastain, the aggressive moves through the stadium section that won him that race back in, I think, 2022. The slower part of the track, so it's sometimes the easier place to make the aggressive moves, and hard on the binders here. And for the first time this evening, Mercurio has had to take a long, hard look in the rear view mirror. For the first time today, genuine pressure outside of lap 1. He has genuine pressure, and he has to worry. You can see those brake rotors glowing, which is seldom something that you see here on a daytime race. But certainly, can he run 5, dare I say, perfect laps? And can Kenny Brady not push it over the end? Andre, we play a lot of golf games, and if you hit that 100% on the swing, it's perfect. If you hit 101%, that ball's going in the trees. You can't overstep that boundary.
No, you definitely got to play within your limits, and the 78 knows where his limits are. I think he's been riding the limit all race long. He has not left anything on the table. But the thing is, like you were talking about earlier, Corey, sometimes you get up to that leader and you just get a little bit too excited. It's very easy to go a little bit too hard into the corner, get on the throttle just a little bit too quick, doing anything you can to try to get an advantage on him. And also, now that he's this close, you got to think the dirty air will play a factor. It's not going to be huge in the truck at a road course, but it will affect the handling ever so slightly. And that's something to take into consideration, because for most of this race, it has been open road and easy racing for that 78. Not a lot of traffic, not a lot of dirty air, but he's got a challenge ahead of him. 5 to go as they work their way through. Brian Mercurio has led every single lap tonight where he was not on a pit cycle. The pit cycle obviously took a few laps led, but overall dominant in this race. And now looking at the possibility of having to really defend it hard here. What was looking like a walk-away victory suddenly in question.
Yeah, and dare we say the last few laps have stabilized out. Last time by, Mercurio actually 0.2 of a second faster, to the point of dirty air, to the point of maybe Brady had to overexert a little bit. Remember, he was 2 seconds back at the start of the run, and we knew he had long run pace, but obviously more urgency. Didn't have a pit stop to reset, had to get it all naturally before the end of the race, and he stabilized out at around that 6-7 of a second, even through the stadium section. Didn't really muster much more than he has been. Mercurio, a former Coke Series driver, very upper echelon talent here in the iRacing service, near 9,000 on his iRating. He's not prone to making mistakes, but Kenny Brady, 6,300 iRating. He's also right up there, and now he's there. This is the closest he's been. He's in bump and run range now if he wants to go that route through his section of the racetrack.
Yeah, again, he gets this close, and it's like the truck just kind of goes away from him. I think the dirty air is playing a factor. Is a little bit of side-by-side action back here. 52.73. We were wondering when this was going to happen. Jake Nichols had been reeling that 52 in, been looking at the opportunity for a while, and now it looks like he's going to try to finally make something happen. A little bit too wide out of the corner. Going to have to concede.
Teammates here.
And yeah, two teammates, the 49, who's just been on a late race charge. He has gained a lot of positions in this second half of the race, getting all the way back up to P4. And I mean, look at the gap he's put on the 52. Peyton Howell, remember, he was battling with him not too long ago. Now he's put 4 seconds on him. So, man, if he had some track position earlier in this event, he might be up there on the podium. But right now, just trying to salvage a good point stay and doing a good job of it. More battling back here, the 05, the 86, the number 7, and the 89. 4 cars in a row trying to sort out who's going to take what position with only 3 laps remaining. And up front, 0.6 of a second is really where this has stabilized, Corey. It has not changed a bit. And you got to think that 78's getting frustrated. You reel the leader in from 6 seconds back. You get to the bumper, and now can't quite do anything.
Yeah, I think you get, in the words of Linkin Park, you get so far, you try so hard. In the end, I mean, if he doesn't win, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it matters in the sense of a second. There he is with an optimistic dive into the hairpin. He says, I saw a chance, and that might be the way he has to do it. And here he comes again. He's looking into the inside. He's going to take it. He's going to take it. He's going to take it. Mercurio left him just enough space. He had to force the issue, and just couldn't force it any more than that at that present time.
Well, he could have, but they wouldn't have left the corner and going in the right direction. So they were right on the ragged edge there. I cannot believe that was so great on both of their parts. They're just leaving just enough room from both drivers.
The third winner in that is the iRacing netcode model to let him get away with it.
Agreed.
But here we come. This is 0.2 of a second. I mean, send it range is essentially, I'd say, anything within 0.3. Here we are up the hill, a little bit too far back. He's going to go for that slightly higher entry, and he's going to make contact. That's a significant amount of contact to the back of Mercurio, but Mercurio's truck, he's a Ford, but you'd think it was a GMC because it was like a rock, didn't budge at all with that contact.
No, it did not. 0.4 of a second, down to 5 now through the S's, so a little bit closer last time through these S's, but getting to the section of the track where Kenny Brady tends to reel him in. He's taken several swings at it, but he is running out of opportunities to make those swings. Eventually, one of them's got to hit. You can't strike out too many more times. Only 2 laps remaining. Driving it in deep on the corner. He is on the bumper now. Let's see if he can.
Locks it up!
Oh, boy. What awareness from that 82 to drive it in a little bit deeper and make sure contact was avoided. He was looking at his mirror. He knew what Kenny was doing. He responded perfectly. This is just a masterclass of driving from both of these guys. What a show.
And for Kenny Brady, locking up the brakes, that's only going to hurt the handling. That's going to affect how that car drives as those tires get a little bit of heat spike in them, get a little bit overheated, and that could affect the handling. But now he is driving. He's driving red. He's playing on defense. He's playing on offense. He's doing everything. Mercurio he is driving his race, but he also has to look in that rearview mirror to overcome any mistakes that Brady may make. As we come to 1 lap to go here, that gap is right around 0.3 of a second, a little bit too far back for ascended into 1. If you're Brady, you have to just run through the S's cleanly, set yourself up for the arena section.
Yeah, try to take whatever you can. The 82 hops the curb a little bit. That's going to close Kenny Brady in. Let's see what the gap does through the S's with traffic ahead. You're exactly right. Again, that 82 just so good through this S. Whoa, my goodness.
Oh, that
He's
might.
giving him
Oh, no.
No, oh, boy.
He tried.
Oh, boy, that was close.
And it's still not over. He tried so hard to get out of the way that he nearly put himself in the way.
Yeah, oh boy, Kenny Brady, real good run out of the short chute. He's going to get to the bumper. Does he make a dive here? Way defensive line from the 82. He's going to go wide on exit. And a block from the 82. Kenny Brady on the bumper, pushing him through the turn. Now into this right-hander. Kenny getting real aggressive with it. They're going to get side by side. The advantage goes to Kenny Brady. He's got the bottom of the racetrack, but now the 82 is going to have the better line.
More contact.
Do more bumper to him, more to the quarter panel. Oh my goodness, that might have been his last chance. 82's only got to survive a couple more corners. What will Kenny Brady do?
More contact right to the back bumper here through the sweeping double right-hander. That leaves 2 more left-handers on the table, 2 more potential braking zones for Kenny Brady. Here comes the left-hander, and now here comes turn number 20 here at COTA. He's a little bit far back. It's going to take a send. He's going to go wide. He's going to try to cross over and maybe drag race to the line, but Mercurio is going to hang on by the skin of his teeth, survives the challenge, survives the charge, and wins here at Circuit of the Americas.
What a race. I know they were bumping and rubbing, and Kenny got really aggressive with it, but that's what I would call respectfully aggressive. He could have outright dumped the 82. He could have shoved him way wide in those corners, but he just moved him enough to give himself room to make the move, and when he couldn't make the move, he fell back in line. What a race from both those guys. The defensive driving from Brian in that 82 cannot be overstated. It was incredible what he was able to do to keep that 78 at bay.
Yeah, that was just the pinnacle of what NASCAR race. That is the essence of what NASCAR racing is supposed to be. Beating is banging, bumping fenders, having all that, respect enough that I'm going to push you out of the way, but I'm not going to wreck you. And again, kudos to the iRacing service that it didn't faux pas at all. It let them do what they did, as we still have a lot of live racing to cross the stripe here. But again, Brian Mercurio leading this thing through. And if you look at the stat sheet there, Dirt, again, the final stat sheet says he led 35 out of 38 laps, and the only laps he didn't lead were under the pit cycle. The stat sheet is not going to show that he had to drive with his life for about the last 10 circuits around this place.
That he did. Usually, when you see somebody walk out to a lead like that at the start of a road race, you think, well, it's done. We're just kind of out here as a formality at this point, but it turned out to be anything but a formality. He had to really fight for that one well-earned victory. Dominant, but not dominant in a way. It was so close between these two. What a race. And then Seth Noel, big shout out to the number 1, getting back to P3 up on the podium. Only 7 seconds behind these guys after 38 laps. And Garrett Conrath going to be P4. Alex Chilcutt, the final of the top 5. Then Peyton Howell, P6. Jake Nichols, Jake Fisher, they're going to finish the Jake and Jake show. 7 and 8, 9 and 10, Travis Beckner, Jalen Handcamp.
11th through 20th, you got AJ Stravato, David Weishart, Connor Horn, Philip Groner, Timmy Pacioli gets a 15th. Preston Pardis, Matthew Batby, Josh Ballier in 18th. 19th and 20th rounds out with Garrett Grant and then Jonathan Evans.
P21 goes to Bryce Senesac, and then you got Mason Kane, P22. Jeremy Miller, 23rd. Gary Waterworth, 24th. 25th, Danny Ware. 26th, Brad Slaughter Jr. The 88 of Justin Anasogak is going to be P27. 28th goes to Doug Denise. Jeremy Brown at 29th, and Tanner Love rounds out the top 30.
And then it's finishing out the results. Gabe Herschel, Casey Lakatos, Ben Pierce, Tyler Hallman, then Nowicki, he had a lot of issues that we caught. Josh Parrish, Forrest Smith, he hit the Tech Pro a few times. Caden Diedrich, and then Ryan Andrew, he didn't take time here today at COTA. So we'll head to Victory Circle if I can. He's not in the waiting room quite yet. Where is our race winner? Oh, he ain't here yet, but who is here is Seth Noel, so we'll have a quick word with him, our third place finisher here today. So Seth, great third place finish for you here on the evening here at COTA, flag to flag race. We had some crazy racing. You started 6th, finished 3rd. Summarize your night for us.
I mean, I don't know. We were just kind of chilling and watched Brian yard everybody, and I thought, okay, this is gonna be one heck of a battle for second. And then Kenny finally got clear, and then he yarded us. So then I got clear and I started yarding everybody else. So interesting race. Felt like I was on my own there for most of the second half, with Chilcutt kind of going with the weird tire strat. Was really the only person I race. Felt like some laps would have faster pace than Brian, and then some laps would faster pace than me, and I made too many mistakes early in the race and cooked the fronts and could never make it up. But a P3 on the night to 2 people I feel like that are better on the road than me is nothing to hold our head on, and head into Talladega next week and try and set up for a playoff spot.
Yeah, exactly that. You were 4th in the points here today, only 2 behind Jake Nichols for 3rd. Of course, Nichols has the wins on you. So you'll be solidified in the playoffs. And of course, Dega, I mean, how do you bank anything into Talladega? But any confidence level that you can, pull the win off there, get yourself some extra seeding there for the playoffs?
I mean, it's just all situational. I mean, you'll know how Talladega is. You never know if you're going to be the one getting wrecked or you're going to be the one wrecking other people. Daytona, I was really conservative to start the year, just expecting big wrecks, and we never really got that. So that finish at the start of the season really wasn't indicative of our plate racing etiquette. So we'll see next week. We might go a little bit more on the aggro side to start the race and see how the race goes from there. And hopefully we can get a W, or at least push one of our teammates to the win, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in 2 weeks' time. Of course, we get the build next week, so you get a week to stew on it, and we'll see you in Dega in 2 weeks' time, man. Good run tonight.
Appreciate you, boys.
And then second place, Hunter, I think this interview might be better than the winner's interview. We'll leave you with our second place finisher. So far, but so close, or whatever that saying is, Kenny Brady in second.
Mr. Brady, you got a copy?
Yeah, what's up, guys?
Well, Kenny, I'll tell you what, you ran one of the best races I have seen anybody run in a long time. You reeled in the leader, you got so close, and I mean, you were all over his back bumper those last 2 laps. Tell me a little bit about the battle, and if you feel like there was anything else you had that you could have done left in the tank.
Yeah, the battle was fun. First off, congrats to Brian. That was a crazy race. I didn't even really expect to run him down there. He has a pro license. He's been an oval pro driver for multiple years, so I didn't really expect to have that kind of pace on him. I know he's a good road racer, and that first run I tried to kind of back it down, and he pulled away, and I saved my tires a little bit, not like a crazy amount, but I reeled him in a good bit there before we pitted. And then I pitted with him. I didn't really want to risk pitting maybe a lap later, just because he could have a better out lap with less lap cars. So pitted with him, and it was just had to keep myself honest. I mean, we were on even tires, and I just had to try and reel him in. I did, and then the battle was fun. Obviously, I gave him a couple bumps, which I felt was okay because he did everything he could to defend, and it was fun. So that was one of the more fun races, and just to race with Brian. Brian's such a good driver, so that was really cool.
And one last thing I want to ask too is, you had really good long run pace. I mean, compared to everybody else, really the only other car that seemed to excel in the long run was Garrett Conrath in the 49, but you were really reeling the leader in once the tire wear started to set in a little bit. What were you doing to save those tires? I mean, what kind of inputs were you giving that truck to conserve?
Well, there are definitely a couple corners where you can be in a higher gear. And I knew through the sweeping corners, being in third gear rather than second, even with really low speed, could help. And I guess I was just being patient through there. But I don't know, because there were a lot of corners where I could have kept it in second gear, and I dropped it to first, and those are the corners where I feel like I was gaining time on Brian. Obviously, being in a higher gear is going to help your tire wear, but down there at the end, I don't know. I feel like I just had really good pace, and I could keep a really good rhythm. And through the S's is, I think, where I was kind of getting Brian, just because if you look back at the replay of the race, when you enter the S's, Brian was kind of having a wider entrance, and he wouldn't be straight for that first left, and that's where I was gaining a lot of time, and then I would just continue to gain through like that little chicane area. So I feel like that's kind of where I was gaining on him. But I feel like we were even, honestly. I mean, I definitely, got to him, but I feel like I kind of just was able to conserve a little bit of tire watching him. It's so hard to be the leader and try and see, try and set a pace, especially on a road course. So, but yeah, I just drove as hard as I could.
Well, thank you for the inside baseball there. Before we let you go, any shout outs you'd like to make, Kenny?
Yeah, just John and everyone at Lucky Duck Motorsports. They obviously let me be a open car this season, so it's been fun to race both truck and cup. The truck series has been fun. I feel like I have a good top 5 streak going with the trucks. So Tiltify on the hood, Meals on Wheels, Simrap Market, and the Wounded Warrior Project, and then you guys as well for the broadcast.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, Mr. Brady. We will see you next week.
Thanks.
All right, that is P2 out of the booth. And now I believe Corey has jogged down to pit lane and caught up with the winner of the race, Brian Mercurio.
Yeah, Brian, the stat sheet says that this race was boring and you just drove off in the sunset and led 35 out of 38 laps, and all you didn't do was lead 3 under the pit cycle. But obviously the reality of that, starkly different. The first stint we saw Kenny start to chew into the lead, and then you had your hands full and some contact to boot, and you managed to hang on by the skin of your teeth, quite literally. What was that like, just watching that 78 get closer and closer?
Yeah, I couldn't originally figure out what he was doing and where he was gaining time, and I think he was just maximizing, kind of extending the track and using some of those off tracks and sections that I weren't. And then he also kind of told me he backed up the first run a little bit too, tried to save his tires, and then kind of caught up before we got to pit stops there. So he made up a few seconds there, and then he was about 1.8, 2.0 back, something like that. And then he just kind of kept chipping, 10th here, 10th there, all the way down until he caught me there. And then once he was in kind of half a second, and then right on my back bumper, I kind of had to go into defensive mode. So wish I could have pulled away more, but I don't know. I don't think I was quite the fastest truck, maybe like you guys saw at Watkins Glen. But I kind of had to do what I had to do to try to hold on there, and I think I drove about as good defensively as I could.
Yeah, and you had to endure some contact, which obviously we get nervous about here in the world of internet racing. You never know exactly how it's going to process through, and you took some hits. He moved you out of the way. He did get you side by side, and obviously you're going for the championship. He joined late, so he's racing for fun. How risky is it in that situation, knowing that he's just going for fun? I got something more, important on the line. You want to win the race, but also you don't want to get taken out by somebody, whether accidentally or not. How nerve-wracking is it kind of balancing that in the driver's seat?
I think if maybe the rest of the field was a little bit closer, if I was worried, I spun and then I would have lost, a bunch of positions, something like that. But I think even if I just kind of slid or, kind of got punted off in whatever corner, I think I could have at least finished second. So, mainly out, winning's great, love winning, but, also too, those are, trying to accumulate some playoff points here. So that's kind of the main thing. That's the main objective I want here as we run into the final stages of the regular season. So just wanted to get the playoff points. I knew Kennedy really wanted to get a win. Anytime he shows up, he's going to be quick, one of the guys up front. And he was the faster truck tonight, and he ran me down. But I don't know, maybe if we had about 2 more laps, he probably would have gotten me. But I had to drive as defensively as I could. Tried to be relatively clean with it. And Kenny and I even talked a little bit afterwards. He was like, you drove that about as well as you could defensively, and I was like, hey, you tried to make all the moves you could. You hit a curb here, something like that. They can really throw you off and kind of put Kenny out of rhythm a little bit there. So I don't think I had a fast truck tonight, but glad to get the win. Good to get the playoff points.
Yeah, you'll be the most calm driver in the field at Talladega in 2 weeks' time. So see if you can pad the stats there even more for the playoff push. But congrats on the win tonight. Any final words before we let you go?
Yeah, I just want to give a big thank you to everyone at Coast to Coast Racing. Tim, Preston, Jake, Tim for... I say Tim twice? Either way. Gabe, Tim, Preston. Jake. There we go. Thank you for everyone for showing up, racing alongside me here at Coast to Coast. I believe we'll still be leading the team championship here, so that's another focus of ours going forward. Thank you to all our partners here at Coast to Coast for making this possible. Rebel Rabbit High Seltzer, Morris.live, T-Patch Designs, Paul Fod Racing, What's on Tap, the NYC and NJ NASCAR Club, and all of the people out there, anybody that decides to watch. I know my roommate Eric always likes to watch. He supports you guys over in the chat. Thank you to everyone at Area for putting this on, and you guys for doing the broadcast.
Absolutely, my friend. Congrats on the win today. And of course, the build is next week. We'll catch you in 2 weeks' time at Dega.
See you guys.
Yep. And of course, that victory interview brought to you by Victory Fuel. Celebrate tonight's win with Victory Fuel along with Brian and get caffeine-free flavors like Throttle Punch, Purple Potion, or Lucky Lemon. Each can packed with electrolytes, charged with vitamins, and kid-friendly. Get 10% off your order with code AREA iRacing at checkout there at Victory Fuel. So, Andre, always fun when you get to hop in the booth with me and do a race. And you definitely got yourself a doozy here today. Probably more than you expected. Probably the best road race you could probably ask for out of a stock car NASCAR series.
Yeah, it's like I said, COTA can definitely surprise you sometimes with the racing that it puts on. And this was just one of those times. Phenomenal race. Glad I was here to see it. I was getting excited. That's the most excited I've been in the booth in a while. It was quite something. So big shout out to all the drivers here at Area. Thanks for having me in the booth. And looking forward to seeing some more racing soon.
All right. So again, stay tuned. Like, share, comment, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. If you're on Facebook, hit the follow button. If you're on Twitch, hit the subscribe button. Consider for $5 a month getting your emotes and your double points for merch and all that fun stuff. We'll be live tomorrow night with the Elbows Out Racing League, and then we'll be back on Thursday here at COTA again in the Florida Estate Builders Pro Series. So don't miss any of the action. It's going to be Corey and Andre signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.